What's going on? It's your boy Mike D, host of Wrestling from the 313. And today my guest is he's the host of the Mayhem Media podcast. None other than JD. What's going on, JD? Welcome to the 313.
Yo, man, it's good to be here. It's good to return the favor. You were on my show, now I'm on yours. I like this. Let's keep doing it.
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. So anything that's been going on new since you took a break? I know you had the episode that I was on, that was the season finale. Anything new coming up?
Well, we got lots of new stuff going to be coming out from Mayhem. You shot, in addition to the season finale, you also shot the Mount Rushmore of wrestling clip
Right.
that we were trying to put out. So I wanted to put that out during my time off, but my
Okay.
wheelchair was broke down, so I wasn't able to do the work that I wanted to do. So that'll be
Okay.
the first thing coming up. Will be our Mount Rushmore series. You and Crander Q from Wrestling Friends of the Squared Circle,
Right.
and myself and my executive producer. We all have we filmed those, so that'll be at least 4 we'll be releasing, and then we got episodes coming up this weekend. Actually, we won't even have that out first. We'll have our premiere out before I get those out. Coming up this weekend, so look for a new episode from Mayhem sometime early next week.
Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. So how did you get started with Mayhem Media?
Well, actually, I started the shirt I'm wearing. Actually, the Boiling Point was my first podcast, and it's still going. And it
Okay.
covered everything. I covered everything. It was sports, entertainment, it was politics, world news. It was everything. But a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but a couple people that I trust advised me that I should separate the brands and keep the politics in one place, and then do entertainment on another.
Okay.
That's how Mayhem Media came to be. I separated the entertainment side from the politics and made Mayhem Media. So we just finished our second year. So we'll be starting our third season now.
That's what's up. That's what's
Or our
up.
second season. I'm sorry, man. It's been a long day for me. It's our second season that we're starting. So it's been good so far, and it's worked out because it's allowed me to forge new relationship with you and Crander Q and some other people. So it's worked out. Separating the brands was a good decision to make.
That's good. That's good. So I know you talk about wrestling and sports. What type of sports do you talk about? Is it one particular sport, or is it a
Well, we
variety?
cover. I mean, I'd love to be able to cover all the sports. Baseball, football, basketball on Mayhem Media, and unfortunately, we just don't have the time or the personnel to just cover everything.
Yeah,
So we do have wrestling episodes. Football is also something that we cover regularly, and we're trying to get into start covering NASCAR as well. We have an episode coming up with Above the Yellow Line. And that's going to be a racing episode. So we're trying to get into some more. We're trying to expand, and of course, every 2 years we do the Olympics, Winter Olympics, Summer Olympics. I
okay.
covered them before the brand separation under the Boiling Point podcast in 2020, and then I covered them under Mayhem Media in 2022, and I'm planning to do the same thing in 2024. So the Olympics are also something that we cover. And
That's cool.
TV, that's about where it goes for sports. But we also do TV and movies and stuff. We have a couple of after shows following the Mandalorian show on Disney Plus, and After the Dragon, following House of the Dragon on HBO. So we got a couple of after shows and stuff too. We're really trying to expand and do a bunch of different stuff on Mayhem at the moment.
That's cool. That's cool. So I know you had mentioned football. Who's your favorite football team?
Definitely got to be an Eagles fan. I mean,
Oh,
I'm in
that's right.
Pennsylvania, so yeah, definitely got to
Okay.
be an Eagles fan.
Okay, that's what's up. What do you think about the? What you think they're gonna do this year?
I think they're looking good this year. You know, I did an episode on my show talking about everything that happened after we won the Super Bowl with Doug Peterson, and then we got rid of him and we got Nick Sirianni. I think Nick Sirianni is a good coach. I still don't like that we got rid of Doug Peterson, but I think Nick Sirianni is a good coach, and I think he can get us back to the Super Bowl. I don't know if it's going to be this year, but we're looking real good, and our wide receivers are really doing good this year. So it could be this year that we're doing good. You're from Detroit, though, right?
Yeah,
So
Lions fan.
you're Lions fan, right?
I'm a Lions fan, but I'm also a 49ers fan. I've been a fan of the 49ers since Jerry Rice and Joe Montana. So that's like a childhood thing for me, but definitely a Lions fan. I think our team is turning the page from what we were for decades. This team is showing some promise. They just got to keep the consistency going. You know, we've
The
had
Lions, man,
years.
they're looking nice. I watched them. I watched them
Yeah,
play this past weekend, and I was like, wow, I can't believe the Lions are they're really turning it on. They're playing good. They're playing real
yeah,
good. The score doesn't. The scores. Some of their games have been kind of close, and I don't think those scores have been reflective of how good they actually are. I think they're doing what they need to do to win whatever it is, and they're getting it done. I think the Lions are going to be tough, and it's great to see them turn the corner. I don't like to see a franchise, be in the toilet for 30 years.
hey, it's been bad. It's been bad, and like you said, it's good to see them you turning it around. But it's just like me being a long time Lions fan and watching them through the years. They got to stay consistent. You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
mean,
they ended strong last year, but then they got to come into this year and they got to keep that momentum going. And if they can do that, the sky's the limit for the Lions. They kind of remind me of what like the '04 Pistons was, that gritty, going to work, blue collar
yeah,
type of style of
in the
play.
trenches.
Yup, in the
Yeah.
trenches. So
Yeah,
that's
it's in
what
the
I.
trenches. Yeah. And then, as an Eagles fan, we've had our dark days too. So, don't feel bad. I mean, through the 90s, we were the worst. So Richie Kotite as our head coach, and we only had like 2 winning seasons in 10 years or something like that. I mean, so we've had our dark days too. So,
Yeah, but
but it's good.
at least y'all can say y'all the Super Bowl champions. You know
Yes,
what
that
I'm
is something. Yes, no one
saying?
can hold that over my head anymore. Now they try and are like, oh, how many do they have? And I'm like, the same as the majority of the NFL teams. One.
Yeah, that's true.
There's only a couple of teams that have more than one.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And only there's only 2 teams I think that have 5 rings and stuff like that. So
yeah,
the Eagles got one. That was the most important thing. Let's just get the one, and now we can build off that. No one can say, "Oh, you haven't won anymore." So yeah, you got to get that. You got to get that ring though. You got to get that first one. Get that first one, and then people can stop harassing you about it.
yeah. Real quick, I just want to say there's one thing about the Lions. If we ever win the Super Bowl, the state of Michigan is going to go crazy. The state of Michigan is going to go crazy. Every party city in Michigan, Detroit, Royal Oak, Ann Arbor, Lansing, they're all going to go crazy because it's like you got to think about it. Like we've seen the Pistons win, we've seen the Red Wings win, the Tigers won in '84. We've seen the Detroit Shock win, our old WNBA team. They won a couple championships. We've never seen the Lions win. So I
Yeah.
think that's going to be up there with the Red Sox and the Cubs winning, in my opinion.
Yeah. If the Lions can get one, yeah, it'll definitely be a big one. I think it was big when the Eagles got it. You know what I mean? Because they've only been to a couple of other Super Bowls, just even appearances.
Yeah.
So getting into the Super Bowl was big, and then getting that win is also big. And yeah, when Detroit gets one, it's going to be very similar, or maybe even bigger, because of the history that the team has with the city of Detroit. I mean, it's similar to the way that Philadelphia has, but every city's different.
Yeah.
And Detroit, they really love the Lions, and they really stuck with them, even through all these years. You know what I mean? Even through when they went, 1-15 and 2-14,
Yeah.
you'd still see fans in the stands.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Eagles go 1-15, and I guarantee you it's going to be empty. And even if it's full, we are going to boo the living hell out of our own team.
Yeah.
So, that's one thing, the Lions, Detroit doesn't really boo its own team too much. They're pretty supportive. So I think that would be the biggest difference there, is that when the Eagles are bad, we will boo you. We're going to let you know if you're on the Eagles and you're doing bad, we are going to tell you that you're not going to hide away from it. But on the Lions, your team seems much more supportive in the way that they're going to cheer for them and not just boo them out of the stadium.
Yeah. Almost every home game every season is sold out. So yeah, we do despite our ups and downs, we have a real strong fan base for the Detroit Lions.
And you got a good coach this year now too. That was always one of the things that Detroit always lacked is a good coach, and keeping him. As long as you guys can keep this good coach, even if he doesn't get you a Super Bowl victory in the first couple of years, I'd keep him for as long as I can, because so far he seems to be doing everything exactly the way you need it to be done.
I totally agree. All right, then, real quick, let's switch back to the wrestling. And so who are some of your favorites growing up being a wrestling fan?
Oh, definitely Sting. I actually had a Sting shirt on before I switched into my podcast shirt, because I always like to promote the brand, brand, when I'm on someone else's show. But it's definitely Sting. He's been my favorite ever since I could remember wrestling. In fact, I don't remember for sure, but I'm pretty certain it's his colorful, because it was when he was the Surfer Sting, blonde spiked hair, colorful face paint. The loud howl. So that's what drew me into wrestling. I don't think without Sting, I don't know if I'd enjoy wrestling or gotten into it when I did and how I did.
Yeah, Sting is definitely one of my favorites. Always been a big fan of Sting, but it was when he transitioned over to the black and white. I don't know what it was about that character. One of my favorite characters of all time, and I just think that when he made that transition from the Surfer Sting to the black and white, it just catapulted his character, and just him as a performer and a wrestler, it just catapulted him to bigger heights. The only thing that I wish is two things that I wish that they didn't do with him in WCW. One, I wish that the ending of the Starrcade match would have ended better. And two, I wish that they would have never put him in the Wolfpack, because it was like the whole storyline of him going up against NWO and leading WCW. Then you turn around and you join the Wolfpack. It didn't make sense to me.
Listen, it's funny because the Sting shirt I had on was from his Wolfpack days. I at the time, because I was in high school, and while I knew wrestling wasn't real in the sense that was actually happening, I knew it was storylines and predetermined stuff. But when he transitioned to the Crow Sting, I was beside myself. I was so beside myself. I hated it, because I was one of those fans. I'm like, I never bought that was this bogus Sting when they had the bogus Sting in the NWO. As soon as he stepped out of that limo, listen, I'll never forget the scene. As soon as he steps out that limo and he starts attacking Lex Luger, I was like, that's not Sting. And the reason I know that is because all wrestlers have a kind of way that they move, a way that they punch, a way that they kick. It's universal. It very, very rarely do wrestlers change the way they do things or maneuvers in the ring, or even outside the ring, like I said, with punches and kicks and stuff. Very rarely is there through their mannerisms and stuff change. I've never seen Sting attack someone in the manner that the bogus Sting attacked Lex Luger. Never seen him attack anybody like that in that manner. Not with the weight, not with the blows, not with the strikes he was doing. I'm like, that's not Sting. There's no way that's Sting. So I was never a doubter of Sting. So when he transitioned to the Crow Sting, I was very upset, because I was like, no, Sting, we didn't doubt you. You know what I mean? I was a firm believer that none of the Sting fans really thought that was him. So, I was beside myself when it happened. Now that I'm older and can look back on it in hindsight, it is one of the ballsiest move a professional wrestler has ever done, in my opinion, to take 11 months out of the ring to develop a new character, to develop a brand new character, to reinvent your own character. That doesn't happen either, because when you change a gimmick, names change. You know what I mean? There's not very many wrestlers that can change their gimmick and keep the same name either. And he was one of the first ones to really effectively do that, and even get more popular, in my opinion. And I couldn't. In hindsight, I loved the whole Crow thing. I loved it. I would have loved to have seen. What I wish went differently was, I wish. Remember when Macho Man kind of went with him, and they both were kind of like lost souls, because the NWO blackballed him. He couldn't sign. That was the storyline. He couldn't sign with anybody
Yeah.
because Eric Bischoff blackballed him, and the only way he was going to sign anything was to join the NWO. And he started hanging out with Sting, and they started doing like a dual thing, like where Sting was growing his army, like we were going to get this army of outcasts.
Yeah.
That's what I wish they would have done differently. I wish they wouldn't have had Macho Man turn on Sting and go with the NWO. I would have much preferred to see Sting and Macho Man develop this dark, silent kind of a character. And with Macho Man, he couldn't have stayed silent as long as Sting did. He would have had to have speak. But there was stuff you could have done to keep him this dark character, this dark angel character like Sting was transitioning to, and just have it be a little bit different. Just have a Macho Man spin on it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I think I wish would have been done differently. Was I wish we would have seen more of. I think they would have. I would have preferred to see Sting grow more of these lost soul followers, and then have that be the combat against the NWO.
Yeah, I agree. And that would have been cool because he did the same. He kind of did the same thing with Diamond Dallas Page. You know, he kind of like shoved him with the bat, gave him the bat. He did that with the Steiner brothers, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
so it would have been cool. It would have been cool.
Yeah,
Luger. Yup. So it'd have been cool if it would have been like a team WCW or gave them some type of cool name to go up against NWO, and that would have been a perfect like War Games match.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah. And the War Games match. Let's, if you don't mind, I like to jump around sometimes too, but the War Games match, that's one of my favorite matches in all of wrestling.
Yeah.
I love that AEW is doing it. I love that AEW took the concepts, and even though they can't call it War Games because WWE still owns the title for that, it's the dual ring, one cage. I love that match. And when they completely messed that up, the last two War Games we got with the NWO, when it was NWO against the WCW, both times, they messed that up they just messed it up. They messed it all up with when Sting. That's when Sting turned. That's when he left and started the Crow. And I get that was a big moment, and so I get that one. I understand that one. But then the next year, you have the Four Horsemen reform, and then Kurt Hennig and then Mr. Perfect turns on him, which is the biggest. That is I can't tell you how terrible of a decision that was, because I'm also a huge Four Horsemen fan. Huge Four Horsemen fan, and I loved that that Kurt Hennig was kind of going to breathe new life into him. He was going to be the new enforcer. That could have been another 15 years of the Four Horsemen with Ric Flair and Kurt Hennig.
Yeah,
that could have been another 15 years. They could have had the same relationship Rick and Arn had, and Bischoff completely messed that up. And that's why I hate the second one, because then he comes in. I mean, that's two War Games in a row where you have something happen to mess up the hometown team, the hero team, the WCW team. Yeah. And I thought, man, you're just killing this. You're just killing War Games. You're just now it's nothing more than a match that the NWO will just recruit somebody off our own team, and then it'll be 5-on-3. It happened 2 years in a row, kind of. You know what I mean? I mean, Sting went in, kicked everybody's ass in the NWO, and then left. But it was just what they did next year with Mr. Perfect. It really started turning me off. They definitely made some bad decisions. WCW did.
Yeah. So I know you said that the War Games is your favorite match. So which corporation do you think does it better, WWE or AEW?
Oh, definitely between WWE and AEW, definitely AEW.
You think AEW does it better?
Yeah. Although look at what just happened in the last time they just did it here in AEW. They had two of the team that the Blackpool Combat Club had teaming with them ended up leaving, and it was a 5-on-3 match.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I get it. I get it for the story purposes. I get it. It makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and if you don't mind, we could talk about the Blackpool Combat Club. My concern with them is what's going on. There's 3 of them. They just got their asses kicked. Daniel Bryan is now doing like behind the scenes stuff. He's like running Collision now, I believe, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be on screen. So now the Blackpool Combat Club, who was supposed to be led by William Regal, who left, and now you lost Daniel Bryan, who was your new mouthpiece, and now you're down to 3 guys. What are they going to do? I think they're just going to end up dissolving them and just having them go their own ways and splitting them up.
Actually, they might be down to 2 because last week when Moxley had that match with Ray Phoenix, he actually suffered an injury in that match. He suffered a concussion, so they could be down to 2. The thing I don't like about the Blackpool Combat Club is Claudio. He's the Ring of Honor champion, but he's acting like he's basically a role player. You know what I'm saying? Like
he's like second fiddle. But I think, and I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying, and I get that vibe too. But what I think AEW is doing a little bit differently, with the exception of the Jericho Appreciation Society, with the exception of that stable, I think they're doing a real good job where they're keeping stables together and allowing multiple people to be that centerpiece, that world champion or whatever. And Claudio's not that great on the mic. I like that they had Daniel Bryan on the mic and that he was becoming the new mouthpiece. I thought he's like, okay, well, you're going to lose William Regal. That's going to hurt. But Daniel Bryan's an excellent heel when he plays that kind of a heel. So I thought, this might be all right then. Daniel Bryan's going to kind of become the leader of them, now, and that's good. Now that he's gone and Moxley's kind of the leader, it's my problem is you're having a turnover in leadership here. And now Mox might be injured. So, I mean, if Moxley's injured, I think at this point, you probably just dissolve the Blackpool Combat Club and let everybody start doing their own things. And I think that's a shame for both Claudio and Wheeler Yuta, because neither of them have great mic skills. Both of them are excellent wrestlers, especially Claudio. I think he's really good in the ring. And I don't have a problem that he's Ring of Honor world champion. But if Mox is gone, then it's just those two. There is no more Blackpool Combat Club. So they either need to try and figure out something to do together that the fans might get into, or maybe just go their own ways, which is unfortunate because I was a fan of the Blackpool Combat Club. I like that AEW does stable warfare.
Yeah, I like that too. A lot of people always say like they used to say it was too many stables and too many factions, but I actually like it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like it's cool that, like you said, the faction warfare, the stable warfare, whatever. It's just kind of cool to see 2 cliques going at it or whatever, or 2 crews going at it to see who's the best. And that was something that always made that made the Attitude Era good. You had DX against the corporation, or DX against the nation, or what I'm saying? It was always some faction, some members of some faction going up against members of another faction. So I think it's cool. But like you said, they do need to figure something out. And just really, just figure out what the future is going ahead for these guys. This is what I wanted to ask you about this storyline. MJF and Adam Cole. Where do you think that's gonna go?
Oh, any wrestling fan, any real wrestling fan can see that this is obviously going to end in some kind of, beat the hell out of each other match for the world title.
Yeah.
That's where it ends, right? That's where it has to end. This is a great tag team. They've caught the attention of the fans. They love them. They're the Ring of Honor tag team champions. I don't have a problem with that either. I think it was good not to have them job to FTR. I think it was great to have FTR retain the belts and not have them lose them to MJF and Adam Cole. I think that would have been a big mistake. I don't have a problem that they're Ring of Honor champions. Even though I think eventually at some point, though, aren't we going to need to stop the Ring of Honor crossover in AEW? Because it's just with Tony Khan owning both companies, there are so many titles. There's so many titles. That's why everybody talking about this brand split, with Collision and stuff. And now they want to have 2 world champions. I'm like, no, you don't want to do this. AEW has too many champions as it is. They don't need another world champion. We don't need another tag team champion. Let's not do this. We don't need to do this. There's no reason for it. So I do like MJ. Stay on topic. I do like MJF and Adam Cole. I think that they have captured some lightning in a bottle. I think they can sell a shit ton of T-shirts for as long as they want to keep these guys going.
Yeah.
But I do think where it ends is both of them fighting for the AEW world title. Now, I know they just wrestled at Wembley at All In. I'm a few episodes behind on AEW, but I believe MJF retained the title, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I don't know the circumstances if he cheated or anything like that, but even if he didn't, they're still going to go with this honorable MJF. I would like to point out to anybody who's watching this episode here how MJF is still calling himself the devil. A couple of weeks ago, he said, or maybe it was a couple of months ago at this point, but I remember him clearly saying this on a Dynamite. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing you that he doesn't exist.
Yeah, he did say that. Yeah, I remember that.
And he's still calling himself the devil.
Yeah.
So if you can't see the writing on the walls, it's right there. It's telling you. It's saying, hey, he's literally out there telling you. There's going to be a whole promo. He is going to come out and say, I told all of you that I was the devil. I told you all the greatest trick he ever pulled was convinced. He's going to come out and say all of that. That's how I think it ends. He's going to turn on Adam Cole and he's going to come out and do a big promo saying how I told you all who I was. I told you all this is what was going to happen. I told you all I was the devil. And he's going to catch unbelievable mad heat for it because everybody bought into the Adam Cole MJF. But I think they're just playing the fans. Sometimes, they say kayfabe is dead, but the fans play along with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, can any real wrestling fan think that these guys don't end up in blood in a bloody match for the world title? Of course, that's how it's going to end up. Anybody can see that. Right. But as a fan, you're still going to cheer for him because you're enjoying what they're doing right now. And you're going to boo him when he turns on Adam Cole, which he's inevitably going to do. So, the fans, they say kayfabe is dead, but the fans are still willing to play along with it and buy into it.
Yeah. I actually think it's going to be the other way around. I think that Adam Cole is going to turn on MJF.
Interesting.
I think MJF has too much momentum, with the crowd cheering him right now. He could be one of those heelish babyface, type of characters, you know what I'm saying, where he still says heelish things, but he also says stuff that draws to the crowd. And then you also got to put into the equation Roderick Strong, Matt Taven, and what's the other guy name? Because he was in WWE. Sure. I can't think of his name. His wife is Maria Kanellis. Mike.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name either.
I think those they with those guys being in this storyline too, it make perfect sense. They beat MJF and Adam Cole for the title. Adam Cole somehow gets mad, turns on MJF. They reform the kingdom. Yep. So that's what I think is going to happen. And
listen,
it's a slow build.
listen. That would be a curveball because, and I actually, you know what? I completely forgot about the Kingdom's involvement. I completely forgot about them. I don't know how I did because that's obviously what they've been building with the last couple of weeks and stuff. Is how the Kingdom's here, and Adam Cole's not a real friend. Oh man, that's you're not wrong. That could be something there. I still listen. If they want to keep MJF a face, that's the only way. They have to have Adam Cole turn on him and dissolve the tag team because the fans will boo Adam Cole and they'll cheer MJF as long as he still continues to act like a babyface.
Yep. And
Mike I can see it though. I can see it going the opposite though. I can see him turning on Adam Cole and him taking over or becoming part of the Kingdom.
Hey, they could do that too.
And maybe reforming and because the Pinnacle was something he did, so maybe a new faction between the Kingdom and the Pinnacle, or maybe he just joins the Kingdom. AEW likes to let people use their old stuff but sometimes give it a new twist. So it could be both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I never considered Adam Cole turning on him. That would be a twist. That would be a twist.
Yeah, and that was Mike Bennett. That's his name.
Yeah, so, one of the Kingdom guys. Yeah.
So it's another big rumor going around AEW about Edge possibly coming to AEW, and they're saying something that I read earlier today that there's a very good chance that he could come to AEW. What do you think about that?
I think I don't have a problem with it. Listen, this is my only concern ever with bringing in WWE talent or big WWE talent is what they did with CM Punk, giving him the title, him not working out, then you got to strip him of it, and you bring him, then you brought him back. You try the brand split by having him create a rogue world title that he starts defending, and then you end up having to fire him again anyway. So I think with WWE guys, I think there needs to be a small vetting period. I think there needs to be a small vetting period. Anybody who comes in from WWE is going to have the momentum. They're going to have the fans on their side, okay? Because, I mean, I'm sure you remember from WCW and WWE, B Carters, guys who were considered just B-listers, who would switch sides, would all of a sudden receive an amazing pop when they made their debut. So no one coming from the WWE needs a world title or a championship around their waist to put them over with the crowd. Anybody coming from WWE is going to be over as soon as they come in.
Oh yeah.
So I think there should be a small vetting period. I think anybody coming from WWE, unless it works with a storyline specifically or something, I don't think you should be looking to put your titles on any of the new guys coming in immediately, like they did with CM Punk. I think that was a mistake, and I think hopefully Tony Khan learns from it. And I'm not even saying, listen, a month or two. You know what I mean? Just use that initial pop from just making the change from WWE to AEW. Build on that for a minute. No one needs to come right in and win a title. No one coming in is going to need the title to be over with the crowd. They don't need it. Keep your title prestigious. Keep it in the hands of your loyal hard workers who have been carrying your company. And then in time, build something. If you want to put, like if Edge comes in and they want to put the world title on him, fine. Bring him in, let him do something with the initial, hey, he's an AEW now, whatever. Well, how's that happening? And, build off that, have them do something with Christian, whether they reform their tag team or they go against each other. And I could see even the TNT title being involved, because Christian Cage is kind of involved with that at the moment. But he doesn't need to come in and win the world title. Let him come in, do something with Christian, build off that momentum. And then if you want to put the title on him, build a story to put the title on him.
Yeah, I agree. I actually believe the rumors because before Edge came back a few years back, he was actually about to sign with AEW. But, WWE was like, nah, we want you back here. So that's when they came in, gave him more money, and that's when he came back at the Royal Rumble. And another reason why I believe it, one, because, of course, Christian, and two, I don't know if you know, he's also good friends with FTR. So
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so of course that's probably three guys right there that's recruiting them and telling them, come here. He'll probably get nice little amount of money or whatever. But I agree with you, and honestly, I don't even think Edge needs to be the world champion in AEW. He can go in there, have a couple dream matches. You know what I'm saying? You maybe do something again with Jericho. Maybe do something with Moxley. But to me, I don't think he needs the world championship. If they give him the TNT championship, I would be cool with that. Even the international championship. But I think
that would elevate. That's probably what I'd do, because I think that would elevate the under titles. You know what I mean? Have Edge come in, have him do a little comeback thing with Christian, maybe for the TNT title, or maybe do the tag team and then have Christian or Edge turn on one or the other and then have them battle for the TNT title. I think that would build some prestige for the TNT title, which in my opinion is one of the least prestigious titles, even though it has more of a, even though it's been around longer than the international title. And even though the international title, sounds remarkably similar to the Intercontinental title, I think the TNT title is the one that's lacking the prestige at the moment. It's been handed around too many times. Sammy Guevara's got like 3 reigns with it. Darby Allin's got 2, and there's 7 other people that have a reign with it. I think that belt got passed around a little too much at the beginning of it. You know what I mean? So Edge might, having a good run with it, you know what I mean? Like a 4 or 6 month run with it, that might help bring it back some prestige.
Yeah. And I think for me, the TNT title was like the equivalent to like the television title from like the NWA and WCW days. I think that should be a belt that should be defended every week, you know what I'm saying, in my opinion, because that's what they did with the television title. You had a match, what was it, like a 10-minute,
Yeah,
anywhere
10 or
between
15 minute
10.
time limit. It varied. It varied in their existence. I think Ring of Honor does a 10-minute. When WCW had a TV title, they did, I believe they did 15-minute time limit. So it varies. But yeah, usually there's a time limit, and then you also use that to keep use the time limit to keep the belt on your champion more while still giving prestige to the guy who he just beat. If you wrestle to time limit, then the champion keeps the belt, but the challenger made him go the distance. So, I like the TV. I like the TV title. I like the incarnation of it. And I like the companies that use it right. Ring of Honor, putting it on Samoa Joe is a great move.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would,
And even with the TBS title for the women, that's the women's television championship, you might as well say.
yeah,
I think that they should do that with that. You know what I'm saying? Chris Statlander, she's the champion now. She's had a decent reign, and then
the
of course
TBS title. The TBS
Oh, go
title
ahead.
got some prestige, I think. The TBS title's got some prestige. I mean, Jade Cargill had a hell of a run with that TBS title. And now Chris Statlander's on a run with it. So I think the TBS title's definitely got some prestige for the women. And I like that the women have an extra title. What do you think? What do you think about the AEW bringing in some women's tag titles? Because I've been seeing that on some of the boards and stuff.
I would actually like that because they have enough women on their roster, whether it's AEW or Ring of Honor, where they could have a nice solid tag team division. It's not like WWE where they just putting people together. You might have maybe 2 solid or actual tag teams in WWE, and then the rest they just putting together. So AEW has enough roster. AEW has enough roster. They could do another men's championship. They could do a cruiserweight championship if they wanted to.
I don't want. Listen, I wouldn't mind seeing a women's tag team title, especially as long as they give us some, like you said, we need more than just 2 like tag teams, and then you're just throwing other women together to create a tag division. We need some good, legitimate women's tag teams. You need women on your roster who are willing or want to build a tag team with somebody else on your roster, so that even if you are throwing some people together at the creation of the women's tag division, in time, these teams are going to be established and be around for a while. So I think I wouldn't mind seeing the women's tag division. I think the women have been killing it in wrestling, and that's across all brands. Yep. That's WWE, Ring of Honor, AEW. The women have been killing it across all brands. They have been everything. Every time I see a women's match, I'm impressed, and I'm on the edge of my seat. They're putting on great shows. They're doing great stuff. I always like to. I was talking to my other friend, and I was saying, women's wrestling is kind of where men's wrestling was 20 years ago, or in the 90s.
I agree.
Because in the 90s, that's when they started doing new stuff. You know what I mean? They started kind of giving us a fresh take on wrestling. You know what I mean? It wasn't all wear down moves, on the mat. You know what I mean? They started doing some more high flying stuff. And I think women's wrestling has progressed to the point where they're doing the stuff that they're doing is so exciting because it's not been done before. Even if men have done it, even if we've seen men do cage matches and ladder matches, watching the women do it is a different experience than seeing the men do it. So I think where the women are in wrestling right now, and all the companies, the women that they have are excellent, and they're putting on great shows. And I'm a big fan of all of the women's wrestling.
Yeah, I totally agree. We can't forget about Impact Wrestling too. What they're doing over
there. Oh
yeah,
definitely.
Trinity, who just left WWE a while back, she's the Impact Knockouts champion over there. And then you got Deonna Purrazzo, Jordan Grace, Tasha Steeles. Yeah, they got a pretty strong, solid roster over there in over at Impact Wrestling.
I mean, honestly, you know what I wouldn't mind seeing. Do you remember in the 90s, in WCW, they had the J Crown, the Cruiserweight J Crown Championship. They did the tournament. All of the wrestling companies got together and offered up their respective cruiserweights or light heavyweight belts. There's a huge tournament, and the winner won all 9 belts.
Yeah.
I would love to see an interpromotional women's tournament between the WWE, Ring of Honor, AEW, Impact Wrestling. I think I would love to see, because there is so much. If you took all of the top talent from all 4 of those companies, that's an unbelievable women's roster. That's an all-star, unbelievable roster. I mean, AEW, all of these companies have great rosters individually. Okay. But each company has their top wrestlers, just like with the men. Some of the women are better. Some of the women still need some seasoning. Some of the women, need a lot more work. That's just the way it is, just like with the men. But I think if you took the top women from every company and did like a tournament or something, that would be, I think you'd get a lot of wrestling fans interested in that.
Oh yeah, I think that'd be dope too. The only thing to be about that is the creative behind the scenes. Who would they want to win? Who would they want to lose? You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, you know what, man? I mean, look at the way AEW is doing it. I mean, I know that there's people making decisions, but they give the wrestlers a lot of creative willpower, or at least a lot of creative idea. They talk about it, then they come up with the best idea of what they want to do.
Yeah.
And I think if all the wrestlers put their egos aside and got together with you put good promoters in charge of this tournament, and you include the female wrestlers in the discussion of the tournament, I think you'd find that a lot of the women would be more willing, or would be willing to either to work with other women, to put other women over. I think you'd see a lot of that, honestly. Yeah. I think it's the promoters. I think if you put the women in charge of it, I think you wouldn't have any problems at all. I think the promoters is what would cause the problem.
Yeah.
Because AEW would want their woman to win, and Ring of Honor would want their woman to win. You know what I mean? You just put the women together and let them decide it. I bet you they put on a great show.
Oh yeah, definitely. I you know what? I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? Because it wouldn't be. I don't think it would be an ego thing. They would just.
Nope.
They would work it out. They, you know what I'm saying?
Would.
They probably drink a little wine and figure out who's gonna win this and win.
And then put on an amazing show.
Yep, I totally agree. And gonna make a little transition. We still in AEW, but it's gonna slowly transition into WWE. Jade Cargill, she left AEW. She's going to WWE.
Good for her.
Signed a multi-year deal. ESPN announced it. They made it official. She's at the Performance Center now. I've seen pictures. She's in there training, performing. 2 questions. What do you think she's gonna do? How do you think she's gonna do in WWE? And should AEW be worried about losing their homegrown stars to WWE?
Those are great questions, and great concerns for both companies. I think. Let me answer the first one. Jade Cargill. First of all, good for her. You know what I mean? Of course, she's an AEW homegrown star. I don't want to see her go. I would have much rather preferred to see her in AEW. I'd have loved to have seen her build off of the undefeated streak and to see where she would have taken her character from there. I would have loved to have seen that. But I guarantee you, WWE is paying her money. AEW is not willing to pay her, or is maybe not financially able to pay her. So you know what? She's been paying her dues. She put in a lot of work in AEW. If she wants to make some bank for a couple of years with WWE, then I applaud her. I say hats off. Go get your money, Jade. Get paid from WWE and get some money. You know what I mean? There's no I don't WWE is going to pay their stars a lot of money, especially anybody they get from AEW, especially an AEW homegrown star, because it's going to be a big catch for WWE. So they're going to pay him money and let him, you know what I mean? let her get paid. She's good. Let her have some bank. You know what I mean? Not only that, but the performance center is going to season her a little bit more, which I do think she is in need of.
Yeah.
While she's great, she definitely needs more experience. She definitely needs more training. She definitely needs more time. And I think at the performance center is going to help her with some of what she needs. I think the second part of your question, I think she's going to hate it. I think in 18 months, she not having any kind of creative control over her character, and she's going to hate that. Because she's not having no control over her character.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, WWE's got some new things happening. They just got sold. Vince is maybe on his way out. If they leave Triple H in charge and Stephanie and HBK, and they let Triple H fill out the office and the upper management in the office, if they let Triple H run the company and Stephanie McMahon, then maybe not. She might not hate it. She might enjoy it. She might actually catch fire over there. She might become huge, and she could be WWE's next, Charlotte Flair, or totally drawing a blank on her name, the Irish girl,
Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She could easily be the next one of those, but that depends on who's running the company. So I think if it stays the way it is now, I think if they're going to continue the same practices and not let their wrestlers have the kind of creative control, or at least the creative input that she was able to have in AEW, I think she hates it in 18 months. And I think one contract with WWE, she's done. She comes back to AEW or Ring of Honor or Impact or somewhere else, or New Japan. You know what I mean? There are lots of other companies that she could still make a good living at, besides AEW and WWE. But I think she, if she doesn't have any kind of creative control, but still nope, you do what we say. This is what it is. This is how we're doing it. I think she's ready to leave in 18 months. And I think once her contract's done, she doesn't come back, not without like an enormous more pay bump. But I think for now, it's good for her. I think it'll be good for her for now.
Yeah, I see your points.
What do you think? What are your thoughts on it?
I think she's gonna do good. I could see her possibly on the SmackDown brand, just on the strength of they let ESPN make the announcement that she signed with the company. Just from what I've been reading is that she's like a high priority right now as far as with creative, and just from what I've been hearing, they got big things for her. I do think she's gonna be okay when she get that WWE sprinkle, that seasoning. Once you know what I'm saying, with the promos and just the wrestling style, she's gonna be good, and then she's gonna be working with some of the top women in the company: Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Asuka, Io Sky. You know what I'm saying? Even wrestlers like Dakota Kai. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think she's gonna be okay. I was thinking maybe she would benefit more on Raw because their women's roster is not as strong. Because besides Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax is back. So
don't put her with Nia Jax. Don't put her with Nia Jax. Don't put Jade. Come on, WWE talent. If you're listening to this, if you're listening to Wrestling from the 313, please don't put Jade Cargill with Nia Jax. Putting two wrestlers who are stiff and who do have a history of injuring their opponents, do not put them together. You're going to just end up getting Jade Cargill seriously injured, because Nia Jax is huge and she's not likely to be injured by Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill is likely to be injured in that kind of a scenario. So please don't do that. It's never good when you put two stiff wrestlers together. Someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, she did have a match against Zoe Stark this past Monday. But I don't know. Nia looks good since she's been back. So, and it seems like they're pushing her as one of the top heels on Raw. So, because she took out Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez during their match, She interfered in that match. Then there was a tag team match going on, and she interfered in that. She took out Piper Niven. So they really they're really getting behind her this time, and I like where she is now. That's where I wish that she was at when she first came into WWE, when they moved her up to the main roster.
Yeah. Well, if she's gotten some seasoning and gotten better, then that's good, because that's my concern with her, was that she was stiff and she had a tendency to injure her opponents in the ring because she was too stiff or didn't protect her opponents the way she should have.
Yeah, and just to answer the second question, as far as AEW being worried about.
Should AEW be worried about being? I don't think that's something that you can. I don't think that's something that you can worry about. I think,
yeah,
it's a tough call. I think you got to handle it kind of on an individual basis. You know what I mean? If I was Tony Khan, would I have wanted to lose Jade Cargill? No, absolutely not. I probably would have tried to see what I could do to keep her. But knowing that the WWE getting her, and likely the amount of money that they paid her, I don't know if I'm Tony Khan, maybe, that might have been too much to try and match it. Maybe, you know what I mean? It might have just been too far. Like, no, Jade, I'm sorry. Listen, you have a great future, but for right now, we just can't afford that number to pay you that number. So I think they have to handle it individual, by a case basis. I think losing Jade Cargill, does that hurt? Yeah, certainly it hurts the women's division. But if she was asking too much, if she wanted too much, don't give away your company to keep people, because that's what WCW did, and that's what hurt you. That's what he just did with CM Punk.
Yeah.
Because look, I mean, Collision, from what I understand, I read this on just rumors, but Collision was basically created so that they could start a brand split off, because CM Punk didn't want to work with half the roster.
Yeah, that's what it was. And it was like all the guys that were cool with CM Punk.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. And now look at where Tony Khan is for doing something for CM Punk. Look at what happened to him the first time. He put his championship on him, and then he cried when he had to put someone over and didn't want to lose to them clean. So you had to create a whole big load of crap in order to get the belt off of him. Oh, he's injured in the match, to get the belt off of him. You know what I mean? And then you bring him back again. Then you create a show for him, and then he does the same shit he did the first time, and now you have to fire him. That's what I'm saying. While it is hard to lose Jade Cargill, absolutely, don't give away your company to keep the talent. It's not going to work that way. It didn't work for WCW. It just didn't work for CM Punk. Don't do it. If she was asking too much and TK couldn't pay her, then you got to just be able to move on. So, I guess to answer your question, you have to be willing to lose your talent. You cannot give away your company to keep the talent. Keep the talent if you can, but don't give away your company in order to do it. It's not worth it. Just like with Cody Rhodes, he wasn't willing to give Cody Rhodes what he wanted, so Cody Rhodes left. Now, there was other factors with Cody Rhodes, his father, the series on his father and stuff. He wanted to be a part of that. So there were other factors with Cody. But one of the things Cody wanted was creative control over Dynamite. And at the time that he had creative control, he was not booking Dynamite very well. It was going backwards. It was not going the right direction. Don't give away your company. TK said, no, Cody, you're not booking shows anymore. Sorry. And that was a deal breaker for Cody. We lost him. Yes, it hurt. Yes, AEW moved on. Jade Cargill, I think it's going to be the same thing. Yes, it hurts. Yes, they will move on. There are people that would, I think, cripple the company. You know what I mean? I think if you lose Moxley or Jericho or Britt Baker or I can't, Shida. I can never say her name. I'm sorry.
Hikaru Shida.
Yeah. If you lose some of these people, that will cripple your company. Okay. I do think that you have faces of your company, and Jade Cargill was on her way to becoming one, but I don't think she was one yet. It's a tough loss, but I think it'll have to be dealt with on an individual basis. Some wrestlers you can afford to lose. Some maybe you can't. But regardless, don't give away your company just to keep the talent. That's going to bite you in the ass.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying on that. But I could say this, even though AEW lost Jade Cargill, they do have one person out there that will boost their roster that nobody is really talking about.
Who's
And that's
that?
Mercedes Moné.
You think?
I could see her coming to AEW. I could see her coming to AEW. She's injured right now. You know, she's still recovering from her injury. But I think once she heals back up, I think you're gonna start hearing a lot of rumors of her coming to AEW.
Who do you across all the companies, who would you put I guess you could pick two. Who would you pick to put in like a dream women's match right now? Like with the current active roster of any company, who are the top two women that you would pick to have like a world title match to represent your company if you had one?
That's a good one. Honestly, damn.
I put Mike D on the ropes.
Yeah,
So
you
let me
put me
plug
on
it.
the
While
rope.
he's thinking for a second, let me plug his show. Make sure you're hitting the like button right now. Make sure you're hitting subscribe to Wrestling from the 313. Leave a comment so that he can discuss it in a future episode. Leave us a comment so the next time he has me on, we can discuss it. And if you're not agreeing with anything I say in any particular, please feel free to leave a comment and refute me on anything that you find that I seem to be mistaken on. So. And make sure you check out his, I don't know your storefront, but make sure you check out the Wrestling from the 313 storefront and pick yourself up some apparel also.
Oh yeah, appreciate the plug, man. Definitely appreciate it.
I'm somewhere in the vicinity of about 180 or 190 total podcast episodes that I'm at. So at this point, plug in stuff, if you need time to vamp, while you're thinking about something, I can come up with something real quick. It's not hard.
No, let me see. To go back to your question, I think right now one of the matches I would want to see is Britt Baker versus Charlotte Flair.
Oh my
I think
goodness,
that's
dude!
one that I would want to see.
That was exactly what I was gonna pick, dude. I'm serious. I was gonna say, listen, Britt Baker, DMD against either Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch.
And another one that I wouldn't mind seeing Trinity, the Impact Knockouts champion, going up against maybe Saraya. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see like a champion versus champion match. And then to go back to Jade Cargill being in WWE, I think two of the dream matches that I want to see with her, most definitely Charlotte Flair.
Oh yeah,
and Bianca Belair. That's the one that those are the two that I want to see her in. I hope that they don't throw her into stuff right away. Just give her a slow build. You know what I'm saying? Let her have a nice little storyline.
What's the Rock's cousin's name? What's the Rock's cousin's name? The female wrestler.
Nia Jax.
No, the other one.
Tamina.
No, the superstar. She's the Superman. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on her name. What was her gimmick? The Boss?
Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks. I wouldn't mind seeing Sasha Banks and Jade Cargill teaming together.
That would be nice. Yeah. Who would you have them go up against?
Oh, I mean, for quality purposes, I mean, Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, I'd keep them with the world title. I don't know who I'd put them against. I really don't know. But I think I'd make them a solid tag team, like one of those tag teams where they can hold the tag titles. Then one of them can go after the women's world title too. You know what I mean? Like one of those where there's not competition between them just because one's the world champion and the other one's not. Kind of like what MJF and Adam Cole got going on, except not in a leading to a bloodbath kind of manner. Like actually have them be where, they're the tag champions. I would let them be tag champions women's tag champions, and I'd let them both get a world title reign while they were tag champions. That's how long I'd keep them probably as women's tag champions.
That's what's up. I
think Jade Cargill and Sasha Banks would make a really, really badass women's tag team.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Real quick, WWE releases. I know you heard about those. Any names surprise you?
Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, I think everybody was surprised with Dolph Ziggler. Yeah.
Wow. And you listen, when Dolph Ziggler, I remember when Dolph Ziggler first started wrestling, I was not a big fan of him. I thought I'm like he's like a ripoff of like 5 other gimmicks, and he kind of rolled them all into this gimmick that he's got,
Yeah.
And I didn't really care for it, but in time, I actually like Dolph Ziggler. I love that he uses finishers from wrestlers past. I like how he pays homage to the sport of wrestling while doing new things in it. So I'm a real big fan of Dolph Ziggler, and that was I could not believe that one. All the other ones, I was like, okay, they're obviously doing something, whether it's trying to free up some finances or just tighten up their roster or whatever it is that they're doing. They're clearly doing something, even if we don't understand it. But Dolph Ziggler, I don't know how who was in the room when that decision was made.
Yeah,
that's a huge loss. And if I'm Tony Khan, I'm picking him up. I'm calling him on the phone. I've already talked to him on the phone. He's already got the contract at his house.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. Yeah, I was surprised with Dolph, but I wasn't, just on the strength of he wasn't on TV as much. And then when they did the draft a couple months ago, he was a free agent, so they never really gave him a brand to wrestle on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was surprised that I was surprised, but not surprised. But I was surprised that Mustafa Ali and Dana Brooke, because just on the strength of they were on NXT. Mustafa Ali was supposed to have been fighting Dominic Mysterio at No Mercy for the North American title, and then Dana
love that they brought that back. I just want to say, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. That's one thing I like that the WWE did. Now the North American titles, that's just an NXT title, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I as much as I hate that it's been relegated to their third brand or their junior brand, I love that they brought the North American title back. That's a title that was an NWA for a long time, and I love that a company is finally using that title again. I love that title is making a comeback. Obviously, it's not the same one from the NWA. You know what I mean? It's not the NWA North American title. It's not going to follow that lineage. Right. But I love that the WWE brought back the North American title. I'm a huge fan of naming a title the North American title. So I love that they did that.
Yeah. And honestly, NXT, they use a lot of old pay-per-view names. Like a lot of old WCW pay-per-views, a lot of old ECW pay-per-views, like Heat Wave, the show that they do on NXT, that's an ECW pay-per-view. So and then when they brought back War Games, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that kind of NXT is groundbreaking. You know what I'm saying? They do stuff. If it wasn't for them, it probably would be no blood and guts match. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Triple H and HBK really built NXT to something great. And honestly, that's what I'm saying. If whoever bought it puts Triple H and Stephanie McMahon and company back in charge of things, they could change the corner and they could really start crushing AEW maybe a little bit if they wanted to. You know what I mean? I mean, if they turn their product around, people will start tuning back into WWE. I don't know if they're going to do that or not, but if they do, they do have history of having the right people in the right places, and NXT is an example of the right people in the right creative places. Yeah, and that's how they built that, and they did a great job with NXT. Yeah, that is something the WWE has done very well, building that NXT brand. They put the right people in charge, and they've been doing great work with it.
Yeah, most definitely. So real quick, I wanted to just get your a quick opinion about the Netflix show. You've seen Wrestlers, right?
See which one?
The show, the reality show on Netflix, Wrestlers.
No, I haven't seen that one. No, I haven't. No, I didn't know. Actually, I didn't even know about it. I do not have Netflix. I
Okay.
honestly not. You don't do politics on your show, so I don't really want to get into too much of that. But when that special Cuties came out,
Okay.
I turned off my Netflix membership.
Okay. All right. It's cool. But I'll just tell you, if you ever catch it on YouTube or whatever, it's a very good documentary. It basically it follows OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's ran by Al Snow, and it's basically showing the behind the scenes, you know, him running the company, and then they follow some of the wrestlers. One of the female wrestlers that wrestles for that company actually had got a tryout from WWE. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
no, I
if
didn't
you
see
ever
it.
get a chance, I'll tell you that documentary is very, very good. It's 7 good episodes, and they just show you how, you know, they
I love a
trying
good
to,
documentary.
yeah, it's real, real good. Like I said, if you look at it, see if it's on YouTube, try to you know, check it out.
I'll see if I'll see if someone has a Netflix membership. Maybe they can, maybe they'll sit and watch it with me so I can catch it then. Have you not to change the subject or get off of whatever you wanted to move on to next, but have you seen the show on Stars, Heels?
I haven't I never saw it, but I heard they canceled it.
You heard it canceled it. See,
Yeah.
I'm getting commercials and stuff when I have stuff on. I'm getting commercials for it and stuff. All right.
Yeah, I
Well,
saw
then I'll have to do
something.
some research. I'm gonna do some research on Heels. I was just wondering if somebody had seen it yet because I keep getting these commercials for it and it looks interesting to me, but I haven't been able to see it yet. So I didn't know if maybe you had seen it, but if it got canceled, well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, they only had 2 seasons. I saw something earlier today about them that they had canceled the show. I was just like,
Hmm.
wow, because it seemed like it was pretty good and people watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really seemed that way. Yeah.
All right, JD. Well, we're gonna end the show right here. Is
Absolutely.
there anything that you wanted to plug or any shout outs?
No. I'll give my mom a shout out right at the end of the show because she's right there in the kitchen. You can see her over my left shoulder. She thinks she can duck underneath and not be seen. So we'll give her a shout out since she made it in right at the end of the episode. Yeah, seriously though, let me definitely, of course, wrestling from the 313. Mike D, thanks for having me on, and thanks for
No
coming on
problem.
my show. And I can't wait to have you on again and to come back on your show again. I always enjoy talking to you. I think we always have great wrestling talks.
Definitely,
Um,
definitely.
I'll give a shout out to Crander Q, Friends of the Squared Circle. Make sure you check them out, and I'll give
Yeah, what up,
Gary
bro?
Joe, the all elite bearded genius, Gary Joe from Honor the Elite. I'll give him a shout out as well. Uh, he's also a great page. If you like anything AEW, definitely follow Honor the Elite. But of course, that's after the 2 shout outs I just gave you do after you follow Mike D Wrestling from the 313 and myself from Mayhem Media. You of course give us the subscribes and the likes and the comments before you go and check our friends out.
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely.
And Mayhem, we have a storefront, bonfire.com/store/JDE designs. That's with a Z at the end of it. And you can get some Mayhem apparel off that storefront. I'm not managing like 3 storefronts, so I had to consolidate some storefronts. So my Mayhem apparel is on my JDE Design storefront. JDE Designs is the name of my art business. You can find me. You can find them on Facebook, facebook.com/JDE Designs with a Z at the end of it, if you want to watch that. And of course, Mayhem Media. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. And if you want to, you can follow me on Twitter at Mayhem Prez.
Cool, sweet, sweet. Well, once again, JD, thank you very much for stopping by and kicking it, talking some wrestling. And once again, I want to plug my stuff, Wrestling from the 313. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Also hit that notification button so you'll know when a new episode drops. Follow on Facebook, follow on X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and also go to wrestlingfromthe313shop.com. Get you a t-shirt. It's about to start getting cold. Get you a hoodie, crew neck sweatshirt. If you like coffee, get you a mug. Hey, get something. Just represent, be down with the 313, as Cranky
Yep.
Q would say.
Support the brand, support the show, absolutely. And yep, wintertime's coming. I'm getting ready to launch a sweatshirt special, a winter special sweatshirt special on my storefront. So yeah, definitely get those sweatshirts done, and get one from the 313, and then get yourself a beanie hat from Mayhem Media.
That's what's up. That's what's up. All right. Once again, thank you all very much. This is another episode of Wrestling from the 313. I am Mike D, and I will see you soon. Peace.